Hey, my friend, you have just listened to The Forefront Radio. Please leave your comment and input about the show, what you like about the show, as well as any general feedback on ways to improve. We need your help to acquire new equipment to implement studio quality video and audio to our friends. Contribute as little as $4.99. It's only worth a cup of coffee. Then we can produce documentaries, more episodes, and great info for the diaspora. Go to Cash App. You are now listening to The Forefront Radio, where we discuss history, the Bible, the history of the Israelites, science, and other matters. Bring it out. The history of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as it relates to the Bible. Who were you prior to slavery? Who were you prior to colonization? These answers and more can be seen and heard as you listen to The Forefront Radio. Peace and blessings to you all. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. I'm your host, Afiel Levi Israel, and we love to discuss the truth where the truth doesn't fear investigation. Have a wonderful show today lined up with a fellow podcaster by the name of Mr. Blackovation. Mr. Blackovation is the host of the All Things Black. That's right, the All Things Black podcast. It's about conversations and connection. It's about community building. It's about refocusing our resources. It's about re-educating our people from the misinformation that they have learned in today's society. It's about healthy living and safe spaces. The All Things Black podcast is a weekly show dedicated to meaningful dialogue with a commitment to raising the voices and expertise of qualified individuals that can help bridge the gap in disenfranchised communities. So I'd like to welcome my colleague and fellow podcaster to the show, Mr. Blackovation. Shalom, brother, most high in Christ bless.
Peace. What's going on, big brother? Hold on real quick. I just want to start off like that. Anyway, yeah, man, it's been a long time coming, brother. I've always had you on my spot. And I am excited about being on your, as invited as a guest on your podcast and your show. I love the intro. Hell, you almost made me want to donate, man. I might have to do that afterwards or whatever. But yeah, I love the intro and how you did everything. So yeah, it's great to be here, and hopefully I can add something to whatever meaningful dialogue that we're discussion that we're gonna talk about today. And as always, when me and you dialogue, we definitely bring some interesting information to the table. So my hope is that we can continue that on your show and be able to give something of value. So I definitely appreciate you for allowing me to come on your show, and thank the listening audience for showing up as well. So yeah, this was last minute, like you said, but I was ready and available. So let's get into it, man.
That's right. And before we do, if you are a new listener, please do like, comments, and subscribe to the show itself. We appreciate everyone joining up. We want to give a shout out to Sean Connors, who is the host of the 757 podcast, who came and said, "What up, brother?" So we appreciate you joining up. We also want to show some love to the Woke by Accident podcast, our fellow colleague Jen that showed up as well. And we have someone new to the channel, by the name of Cammy the Kid. We appreciate you joining in. Cammy the Kid, new to the channel, please do subscribe. We talk about a lot of great things on the podcast here at the Forefront Radio. And I love all things Black because you get into a lot of different topics. So I wanted to ask you, what is the main thing that has influenced your decision in starting this podcast?
Just being able to have those conversations that I know I have with different people about different topics and kind of just putting it out there, whether it sticks or not is, almost to a degree somewhat irrelevant. Is just making it accessible and making it available for people to be able to listen to, parse, um, pick apart pieces of it. They may agree with some of it, they may not. It's just, again, to be able to start a dialogue, right? And just being able to have people to kind of just take a different perspective or listen to something just a little bit different that they might not have heard before. So that's kind of what that's about.
And it's funny that you say that because you got a lot of different podcasts that are out there, and it's mostly like gossip, slander, just foolishness, regular trivial matters. Oh, somebody want to talk about sports, or somebody want to talk about, what can you bring to the table in a jokingly manner in the Black community, and it's really just interesting to see a fresh perspective. When you do your episodes, do you normally plan things out in detail in advance, or do you kind of go by the flow? Are your shows spontaneous? How do you normally do it?
So it depends. Like the last episode that we did, I had you on the show along with Mike Furness and my dear brother Tyrone Brackens, and that was planned out. That one was called "The Impact of the Black Male Influence," and hopefully people can watch that and again go back and take something from it. But that one was planned. I did write questions out, stuff like that. So it's kind of a mixture. Sometimes it's planned, sometimes it's not planned, right? But I do want to go back to something you stated earlier about the kinds of podcasts that are out there now. I
Yeah,
believe
sure. Go ahead.
some of that's okay because some of us have avenues that we want to blow off steam, right? Stressful day, you just want to shoot the stuff. I don't want to cuss on your show, but you just want to shoot the stuff and whatnot. And some of those podcasts where people are just doing that's fine, because it's something out there for just about everybody. But I choose not to go that route because of more serious matters. When I was brought up, there was some OGs and people that were in my life that deposited a lot of information in me as I was growing up, and it caused me to be a little bit more serious in certain matters. So I wanted to bring a lot of what was deposited in me about the seriousness of the climate, the serious of the state of affairs with Black people, and things of that nature to my podcast to be able to talk about these different things to give different perspectives, stuff like that. And besides that, again, there's nothing wrong with those podcasts. The only thing that I would say that may be a bit problematic about a lot of those podcasts is that a lot of those podcasts are trendy and they tend to follow the trend or a certain theme that everybody else is doing, and we don't have enough of podcasts like yours or Woke by Accident or mine or things of that nature that that are pushed to the forefront where people can have like serious dialogues and stuff like that. So I just think that for the most part, if we can get to a space where we can have the party, um, whatever you want to call it, and then we can also talk about some very serious topics. Because to me, when you look at the um, country and what's going on in the world globally, I mean, it's almost self evident or quite evident that we need to be a little bit more serious about the times and about our business and how we go about doing things. So that's just my perspective and my opinion.
Definitely. And with that being said, what do you think is not fair in this society, in today's society, that has to be exposed?
Kind of elaborate on that for me. What do you mean?
Like you just mentioned, like as far as like the serious topics for you, like with your podcast, what do you think are some things that you see going on in our communities that aren't fair? The like, for example, you talk about the disenfranchised communities that are impacted, right? And the things that you want to re-educate our people on. Name some of those things.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, if anybody is looking, even though we've been told that we've made great strides in this country with race relations and things of that nature, if you look beyond the veil, you'll see that white supremacy is still in full throttle. They haven't let their foot off of the gas whatsoever, and some of the things that a lot of us, I believe, are not really conscious of is the fact that you know, even though even though it appears that we've made great strides, um, white supremacy has not been uprooted. Um, White male dominance has not been uprooted, right? And to be able to navigate those waters and see it for what it is, and know that there's still systems in place that are barriers to Black people really becoming economically independent, right? Being able to produce, manufacture, and make things for ourselves, and be able to put that on the world market, that's still somewhat of an issue. Having relations with other nations, right? Other independent Black nations, where we can do international trade and commerce, that's still an issue. So a lot of the different things that only in my opinion that I've come across where there's a small segment of us that kind of understand that and really talk about that. That's kind of the stuff that I like to highlight and point out and whatnot. And you can
I
go
agree with
on,
that.
yeah, you can go on and continue on with about education. Most of us are being, we're getting degrees and whatnot, and that's great. I think that's phenomenal. However, those degrees are still attached to um, the system of white supremacy and white male dominance, right? So he who prescribes your education also determines the circumference of your activity, right? So you're only going to go so far or branch so far outside of how you've been educated, right?
Right,
So
that's true.
this is why a lot of us, right? This is why a lot of us will get the education, and then we will, go get the job and chase the bag and get the $500,000 home and the car to go with it and whatnot, because we think we've arrived, instead of taking the education and then try to find a way to utilize it and use it within our own community to build our community. That way we don't have to be dependent upon somebody else to feed, clothe, and shelter us.
And that's definitely true. We do suffer from the generational curses that are written of in the scriptures and Holy Writ. And hopefully, our people could wake up to what's going on. I always say, when you think about it, you got Chinese immigrants that come over here to the United States, but they still have a home country in China and they have a seat at the United Nations. You know what I mean? Also with so-called Russians, their immigrants come over here. The Ukrainian immigrants come over here, but they have a seat in the United Nations, a seat at the G20, a seat at the G8. But black folks in America, where's our seat at? You know what I mean? So it's really interesting that you mentioned that, and I hope to see more change in our communities, like what you mentioned with the economics, with the political spectrums, with everything that we learn in today's society. With that being said, name something that you have on your show for a to-do list, something that you want to cover.
I do want to revisit the Black male and female dynamic. That seems to be a hot button topic, and just to have um, Black men, Black women, to try to find a way to, um, some commonality in our unique experiences. That to me, that should be enough. We both have very unique experiences here in this country. We've suffered greatly. Our forefathers and whatnot have suffered greatly in this country, and we're at a state now where it seems to be we're repelling each other. You know, um, much more than we have before. So to try to revisit that and have a a really intelligent dialogue and try to come with some solutions on how we can actually um, stop the repelling of one another and just look at each other for who we are, right, and our very unique experiences, and stop letting the little external things divide us from one another, because there's a time coming, and it's coming very soon, that we are going to have to depend upon each other and rely upon each other, whether you know it or not. So to have the black male and female dynamic, um, to understand that everything that we have actually gone through and everything that is being imposed upon us, and the little divisions and the little breadcrumbs that's being given to us, it should not be um, something that should allow so much division between the black male and the black female.
Definitely, definitely. I remember, with that being said, I remember an episode you did with fellow colleague. I call her Mimi, but she's Michelle of Behind the Looking Glass. You did an episode called, remind me, The House is on Fire. That, yes, the house is
Yeah,
on
that's
fire.
yeah, man. She came up with that, and big shout out to her, big kudos to her for coming up with that episode, those episodes, and coming up with the topics and having different guests on those shows to talk about different things that is going on between black males and females. So I think she did a phenomenal job with that series, and hopefully we can get back on board and kind of continue that dialogue. But yeah, yeah, yes sir, yeah. So big shout out to her.
Definitely. And you and I have had also private discussions in regards to the modern social ills that we have seen within the community, on both sides, on the spectrum as far as gender, both male and female. And I think it's really important what you just mentioned about solutions. I always say, we went into captivity together, we're going to get out of captivity together. You feel me? We went into this as a nation of people that have been lost, have been stripped of our identity, and now a lot of us are waking up to the fact that we the chosen ones. We waking up to the fact that we are blessed, highly favored with the Most High. But
I want to can I
yeah,
interject on
sure,
that one real quick?
go ahead, go ahead.
What you just said about the chosen ones or the blessed ones, you know, um, to me that's very serious. Is very serious, and the reason I say that is because there's a duty that's attached to that, and we can talk about the fact that yes, we're the chosen ones, we're blessed, we're highly favored, we got all of these different things, but when you come under that title, the chosen ones, right? We're marked to inherit. And this is something that we can, definitely talk about on a later date. But when you talk about that, there's a duty that those of us that know that is supposed to perform, right? Because of the fact that we've been chosen. We're not chosen just because we're black. We're chosen because of the long suffering. We're chosen because we've gone through what no other human being has gone through in the annals of history. We've been stripped bare of everything that we once knew, language, um, God, family, our social norms, everything we've been totally stripped of. So we are a very unique people, and you know, the history that we once had, where we don't have ties to that anymore. And because of that, we've gone through a birthing process during slavery, which made us different from everybody else. It made us the Negro, right? So we're Negroes, and because of that, because of the long suffering, because we had to endure so much, that has made us a very unique and very sensitive people. And what we do with that information by coming out, we are going to be the ones, those of us that go through the new birthing process, right? We're going to be the ones that go out and fix, remedy, give medicine to the world, right? Because we are in that very unique position. So yeah, we're going to be the stars. We're going to be the ones that go out and fix the sin sick world that has been under the foot and tutelage of white supremacy and white male dominance. So I just want to kind of interject and say that how heavy that is. That's very heavy, brother, to be called chosen and to be in that number.
Yep, just like it's written in Romans 9:14. I'm sorry, Romans 9:4. We got the promises that we are the heirs of promise based on, what's written. And a lot of people don't understand it, but whether they like it or not, the truth is the truth. So what's some of the last things that you want to see done as far as like, actually, let me rephrase the question. What was something that you did with your show that you are proud of?
I think just basically launching the show, launching the show. Number one, it's difficult for me to be a host on the show. Like I can talk and have people have me ask questions of me, and it's a little bit easier to answer the questions. But just being a host was something a little bit different, right? So it's a little bit trying for me, even still. So I'm still working at that. So for those that are out there that are great hosts, maybe you can give me some pointers or two or something like that, where I can become a little bit better. But yeah, but just launching the show and then now trying to add the video component of it and to be able to do that. So there's some lives. There's the YouTube channel that you can see on my overlay there. I hate the DB is blocking that out, but that I took some time to work on that, brother. But yeah, just to be able to do that and then to launch the video component where people can visually see me and see some other things that's going on. So yeah, just to be able to do that, man, and to last but not least, but to have great persons come on the show, such as yourself and Professor Latanya White and Milton Lawrence Jr. Just to have these persons come on the show and talk about their expertise in their particular field of endeavor. And yeah, man, I mean, it feels really good to be able to just do that. And so that's what I would probably say.
All praises. So, couple of thoughts then. Let's switch gears. Let's switch gears for a little bit. What are your thoughts on the recent Roe v. Wade situation?
Ooh, brother, you set me up.
That ain't no cap. That ain't no
No, I
cap.
got you. No, I got you. No, it's a serious. This is a serious thing. Um, it's really serious, and I've been listening to different perspectives on this, right? And it's really serious though. But if I were to say anything about it, man, first and foremost, let me say my stance for me is that I'm not a pro-abortionist. I'm not. I don't believe in it. I understand it, and I understand the medical reasons why it would be necessary for a woman to have an abortion. I totally understand that. I've known women that have had abortions. I've not been the person that have been in that situation with those women to ask them for abortions. I have two children, and that's it. I've never traveled down that road to even utter those words from my lips to have any woman go to an abortion clinic to say you need to get rid of this. I think that's terrible within itself for any man to ask a woman to abort a child. I think that's absolutely terrible. Um, and again, I totally understand the medical reasons why this would be necessary. Because, just having to go through the birthing process, which I was there for both of the birth of my children, that is a tremendous burden on any woman to have to go through. The woman is literally going through the death process to give life to our seed. And if any complications comes about, there has to be a choice that has to be made. Do you allow the mother to live, or do you allow the child to live? So it's very difficult. And like I say, I understand the medical reasons for it. And but again, I'm not pro-abortion. I'm not. If it came down to it, to make a decision in that, uh, what I mentioned earlier, I totally would understand the decision that would have to be made. Um, but again, I'm not someone who's pro-abortion. Oh
Makes
boy,
sense. Makes
with
sense.
that
I hit
being
you with the
said,
hammer right there. My bad,
you
man.
did, man. You
You weren't
did. You
ready
did.
for
You
it.
did.
I
But
normally talk about serious things like
yes,
over a
sir.
cup of tea anyway, so that's really
Yes,
my
sir.
thing.
Yeah,
But
but with that, let me finish this though. But with that being said, we have to address the other issue. Oh boy. Okay. We have to address the other
bring it
issue.
out. Bring it out. What's the other issue?
The other issue is this. We also have to acknowledge. Well, let me phrase it this way. We live in a society where we are incentivized to be perverse. Right? We're incentivized to be perverse. We're
There we
incentivized to
go. Now
be
you're starting to
to
cook.
be
There we go. Go
yeah,
ahead.
we're incentivized to be sexually deviant. We're incentivized. I mean, if we weren't, you wouldn't have all these, different um, sexual aids, right? That are out there: the condom, the pill, the diaphragm, um, all the way down to abortion, right? So again, we're incentivized to be sexually deviant, hypersexual, and everything. And let's be honest. In that, we have. And that's what I mean. We have to be honest, and we have to be very forthcoming about this other side.
Yeah, if
Man,
we kept it
um,
100, if we really
yeah,
kept
man.
it 100, we know that when it came to relationships, just sex in itself was confined to the beauty of marriage. But society has twisted it. Society has thrown the baby out with the bathwater.
Right,
Society has says do whatever the hell you want to do
right.
without no repercussions. But then,
No, 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 no. There are repercussions. There are repercussions. It's just that the repercussions are not made very clear, right? They're not very black and white. Let me give you an example. Smoking used to be a really big thing when I was growing up, right? Um, you weren't necessarily really warned about the consequences of smoking, right? 10, 20 years later, now your people are talking about the effects of smoking, and then they put a warning label on there that was so um, small in lettering that, I mean, who would literally pay attention to that? Who would pay attention to it, right? And you have all these different companies out there that are manufacturing cigarettes and whatnot with all these different carcinogens inside of them that are causing cancer causing. But for the most part, they were promoting a lifestyle. They were promoting how cool it was to smoke a cigarette, right? They were
facts.
incentivizing. They were incentivizing people to buy cigarettes, right? They were doing it wholesale. How cool you look, how good it looks. You know what I mean? It calms you down and yada yada yada. You can lose weight from smoking a cigarette, that kind of stuff, right? But in the long term, in the long run, 10, 20, 15 years later, whatever the case may be, now the health effects of it is coming full circle, right? It's coming full circle. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about we're incentivized to be sexually deviant, right? We're incentivized to do that. A lot of sex happens on college campuses where a lot of abortions take place. Forgive me for saying it, but that's let's be real about it. Because when a career is being pursued, either male or female, and you're going out to obtain this, specific degree, you might want to be a lawyer, you might want to be a doctor, you might want to be whatever, right? And the one strike that you don't want to have against you is the fact that you did something in college that could derail your future of being a lawyer, doctor, um, criminal justice, whatever, right? So we tend to have there's a tendency for this country to kind of wipe away the things that we did that we knew that was improper. They tell us, okay, you can do it, but but on the other side of that, you could mess your life up. But go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. It's
Right.
fine. No, we're not going to hold anything against you. But if you do it, just know that this could potentially happen. So that's the other side of it. And let's be honest and frank about it. There are some men that have told women to go get an abortion, and there are some women that have used abortion as a um, as a birth control aid, right?
Right.
So,
Exactly.
so, so, and that's what, yeah, you hit me with the heavy one, brother. Because right now, so many people are talking about this. It's still being put in media, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
and it's, real quick, and that's exactly why I asked that question, because I literally just did an episode on that, and I touched on the fact that is fact, the woman that was responsible for Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, she was well known to be hosting events and speaking at KKK rallies. Okay, this is not conjecture. You could do a Google search. I actually posted it on my channel and on social media, and other people are doing that too. They're saying, "Hold up, wait a minute." They were specifically targeting our people for that type of thing, and many of our people, unfortunately, male and female, fell for it. I want to mention something real quick though. I think about like how I quit smoking, right? And somebody told me, right, they gave me the scripture in First Corinthians where it says that our bodies are the temple of the creator, right? And they said, you don't want the creator of all things to expire you due to the fact that you don't have a care for your body. And he touched on smoking, causing lung cancer, skin cancer, all these type of things. So then when it comes to bringing forth a life, that same premise, you're a temple chosen by the Creator to bring forth fruit, like it says, be fruitful and multiply. And that seed line, if you defile it or destroy it, the Most High is going to jack you up for it. What happens? These women end up having all type of cysts in their system, or some of them get to the point where they have to have a hysterectomy because of all that manipulation that happens down there. And
yeah, but and you're right. You're right. But here's the thing. Like I say, when you look at our position as Black people in this country, we've not been the stewards of our own existence. We've not been the stewards of our own expression. We've not been the stewards of our own intellect and thought process. We've gotten that from somebody else. We've gotten that from somebody else because we don't control our own education. We don't control our own medical facilities. We don't control our own economics. We don't control any of that. We're at the disposal of somebody else. So when somebody else comes and tells you, "Oh, well, eat 3 meals a day and all in between, you'll be okay," knowing that you're wearing out the lining of your stomach when you do that, right? The stomach is a brain, it's another brain. So when you eat consistently on a daily basis, especially heavy meals, you're wearing out the lining of your stomach, right? Which also could introduce some form of cancer, right? So we're following the dictates and information that was provided from these people that were supposed to have been our stewards, right? These are our teachers, right? And when you look at us, we are not the same people by nature, right? We're not the same people. We're not the same people by nature. Whoever takes offense to that, you just gonna have to take offense to it. We're not the same people by nature. It's not about skin color. It's about our nature. It's about how we do things, right? We already know it's different in Black communities as opposed to white communities. We already know it's different. So why would it be a stretch when you start to talk about our different natures and how we um and how we do things, right?
man, you hit something
So
really heavy right there that I just want to touch on real
go
quick.
go, go ahead, go ahead.
Man, it was already from the beginning in Genesis, man. The book of Genesis already shut it down and was like, look, the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Esau came out first, red and hairy all over. Jacob came out next, black like the soil of the earth. And the day will come when those that are last, those that are chosen, those that are the meek, those that are poor in spirit, like the scripture says, they are the ones that's going to rule. But you said something different, unique, chosen, special, not the same like everybody else. And I want to harp on that because our people have what's called vacant esteem. It was in the book called Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy. And she said how we have such a vacant esteem, like not even low self esteem. The esteem is vacant, like it's not even there, and we have to big each other up and say, look, who's the best in entertainment? Who's the best at music? Who's the best in science, in innovation, education? Everything we touch turns to gold. What other community could go through several hundred years of bondage and right around 1910 to 1920 scoop themselves back up and say, we're going to build a Rosewood. We're going to build Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. We're going to build doctors and lawyers and all of these things. So yeah, definitely big up to that. I appreciate you saying that, man.
Yeah. But absolutely, and thank you. But what I was kind of highlighting was the fact that, you know, everything that we are taught is taught from a different, is taught from a different lens, right? Yeah, we may have had some benefit from it, but on the whole, it's not the benefit that again is conducive to our nature. It's not conducive to our nature. Materialism, sexism, nationalism, things like that. We don't necessarily sit back and pride ourselves in that. We don't sit back and pride ourselves in that. And there was never a time that we really sat back and did that anyway. But these are things that are strictly from a Eurocentric perspective. When you start talking about materialism, racism, nationalism, and sexism, right? All of these different things are really what's hurting and crippling the country. And to be quite honest, because of those four impediments, because again, I'm gonna be totally, honest. We do live in a great technological country. This is a profoundly great technological country, right? But on the inside, if you could go from the out to the out from outside of this country and look in, you would literally see the decay that's going on from the inside. Because at its root, the mistreatment of our African brothers and sisters who were brought here, and that mistreatment was never rectified. It was never corrected, which allowed more of a moral decay in our captors because they didn't want to fix the problem. They didn't want to correct not their mistake, but their intent on making Black people their footstool for a certain number of years. And they've had, several opportunities to fix it. But that one original sin is what is bringing this country to its knees. And that's a whole nother topic of conversation by itself. But as far as us as a people, man, I mean, I just think, and I've said this several times. I've said it on Michelle's through the Looking Glass podcast. I've said it on other podcasts where people have had me on as a guest. It's going to take some re-education, and not from the lens of European perspective. It's not going to. I don't care how much education we get from this world and this society and this system. It's really no good, to be totally honest. Because what good is the education when the system itself is falling? So we have to get reacclimated, re-educated, into who we are, into what our real connection is to not only our God, but to each other, then you'll see a real power shift and a dynamic that you've never seen before amongst Black people. I think that's definitely what needs to have happen, and it's going to happen. A lot of people ask me the question: You think do you really believe that? Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's either going to happen by will or it's going to happen by whipping.
I
You,
agree with that
you got two
wholeheartedly.
choices. It's either going to happen by will or it's going to happen by whooping. So
I
it's up to
agree with
you in the
that.
direction that you want to take it.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, just like it says in the Black National Anthem, true to our God, true to our native land. So, with that being said, I want to thank you so much for jumping on the scene. I know it was last minute and everything, but you came in and started cooking with fire. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. You know me. I'm ready for the smoke. I go in deep. I like deep, meaningful
Yeah,
conversation.
man. Yeah, man. You like to go in there, man. And
That's what I do. That's what I do.
you
So,
know,
with that being said, tell us about how listeners can get in touch with you. What forms of access could they reach out and listen to your particular show?
yeah, if you're looking at the overlay right now, you can see support independent Black media, which I am thoroughly vested in. Support independent Black media, right? So you can look at that overlay and you can see the name, you can see the name of the podcast, you can see how to reach me by email. You can also look up the channel on YouTube, and there's other streaming platforms where you can go and listen to the podcast. Um, just know that a lot of those shows are very pointed, and they're intended to strike up, dialogue. Again, you're probably not going to agree with everything, and that's fine. I'm not a person that's stuck on ego. That's cool. If there's a way that I can be corrected on something, then bring it to the table. I'm fine with that. That's cool. But the whole of the idea is to, you know, get us to think in possibly a different way, get us to have those conversations and try our best to try to come together as best as possible. This thing is coming down, man, whether you want to believe it or not. There's all kind of signs that says it's falling. When you look at the people and you quote scripture a lot, so I know you're going to be right in league in line with this. uh, Babylon is fallen, and has become a habitation of devils. It's kind of sad, and I'll end here, but it's kind of sad that the lines have been blurred now between what is right and what's wrong, and people don't know the difference. So how can you even identify somebody that is possibly very satanic, very devilish, uh, things of that nature, right? Because you have no rod to judge by. You have no lens to look through to know whether or not if somebody is doing something improper against their nature, not only against their nature, but against the nature of the universe. So yeah, but Babylon is falling, has become a habitation of devils. You can look at the devilishment that's going on right now. You can tell the country and the system is falling. But I'll land there, man. But thank you so much for allowing me to be on here and to have a say and things like that. I really like these kind of conversations that we have and whatnot. But yeah, I'll land there. So thank you very much. And again, if you guys want to subscribe, like, share the Forefront Radio, please do so. And also come to my pages and like, subscribe, share and comment. And hey, leave a donation on mine and leave a donation on his as well. Thank you so much.
Definitely much appreciated. And you can tune into All Things Black podcast at anchor.fm/all things black straight through and give them support. All Things Black /support to send in that donation or just to listen to the show itself. Anchor.fm/all things black. So shout out to the listeners and commenters. We got Gabriella Barak. Shalom to you, Most High in Christ bless. We got Cammy, the kid that jumped on and said they were new to the channel. Hopefully you like and subscribe. We got Woke by Accident that came through as well to show love. We also got my girl Mimi right here, aka Michelle, the host of behind the looking glass, you dig? So we appreciate it. And we also had Sean of 757 that had came through. So we appreciate all the listeners. We appreciate the love. Thank you so much. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to this channel. And both of our podcasts are available on Spotify and other streaming platforms. Shalom, peace, and blessings to the 12 tribes.
You are now listening to The Forefront Radio, where we discuss history, the Bible, the history of the Israelites, science, and other matters. Bring it out. The history of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as it relates to the Bible. Who were you prior to slavery? Who were you prior to colonization? These answers and more can be seen and heard as you listen to The Forefront Radio.
Hey, my friend, you have just listened to The Forefront Radio. Please leave your comment and input about the show, what you like about the show, as well as any general feedback on ways to improve. We need your help to acquire new equipment to implement studio quality video and audio to our friends. Contribute as little as $4.99. It's only worth a cup of coffee. Then we can produce documentaries, more episodes, and great info for the diaspora. Go to Cash App and enter APHIELLEVI to donate to the Forefront Radio to cover our advertising costs and reach more people. Catch our next episode on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Anchor.fm/The Forefront. Always remember, the truth shall liberate the mind. Peace to the heirs of promise and the heritage of the scattered 12 tribes.